Today, Bungie hit us up with one of the biggest surprises we've had in quite a while. Before the TWAB dropped on Thursday, February 25th, 2021, we had the release of a State of the Game style update article from none other than Bungie Assistant Game Director for Destiny 2, Joe Blackburn. And this article covers an incredible amount of really amazing information about huge quality of life changes that are coming, the undoing of sunsetting for one, the implementation of crossplay, additional versions of raids and whatnot. We've got master raids coming. We've got some Vault of Glass information coming. So much incredible information was unveiled in this article, and in this video, we are going to be going over all of it. What's going on, Guardians? My name is The Black Link, and without any further ado, let's jump into an article titled Destiny 2021 Update: The Road to the Witchqueen. Now again, a lot of information is covered in this article, so we're going to be trying to jump between some of the biggest bits of news to drop from it. Starting off with the section titled The Witchqueen, Lightfall, and Beyond. Of course, the Witchqueen had its initial release date pushed back until early 2022, and this section of the article talks a bit about Bungie's philosophy and why they had to do that. In particular, they state that the Witchqueen represents an important evolution in the ongoing story of Destiny 2. Beyond Light built the foundation and allowed us to weave the world building of Destiny and Destiny 2 together, but the Witchqueen will light the fire on a strongly interconnected narrative across Lightfall and beyond, unlike anything we've ever attempted to do before, with characters, arcs, heroes, and villains that persist over multiple future releases. Even more importantly, the conclusion of these releases will also conclude the Light and Darkness saga, the conflict we first introduced with the launch of Destiny many years ago. As we've been developing the Witchqueen, we realized that we needed this release to be the first of many moments crucial to the story of Destiny. With so much leading to and dependent on what happens in the Witchqueen, we wanted to make sure that we gave ourselves enough time to build out this journey in the right way, starting with an exceptional first chapter in the Witchqueen. With Destiny now committed to being an everlasting, evolving world, we want to make sure that we are still taking the time to upgrade the systemic foundation of Destiny 2 to support everything we want to do in the future. Our ultimate vision for Destiny 2 still stands: a definitive action MMO, a unified global community where you can play Destiny anywhere with your friends. For 2021, this means upgrading our approach to keeping Destiny's weapons and armor game fresh, refining our vision for PvP, implementing Transmog, and adding crossplay. There'll be more on that in just a bit. But before we move on to that huge tangible change for console and PC play, first off, Bungie talks about the state of rewards in the game right now and how we're going to be seeing some major changes starting with Season 14. In particular, they've made the decision that any weapon or armor that can currently be infused to max power will continue to be able to reach max power permanently. Starting in Season 14, we won't be capping the infusion on any weapons or armor that have not already reached the cap as of the start of Season 13. This means you'll be able to take your Trusty, your Falling Guillotine, and all the high stat armor you've earned this year to take on the raid in the Witchqueen. With a huge revelatory bit of information, Bungie is undoing sunsetting. Everything that can reach the max power level right now, everything you've earned within the last year, is going to be able to move forward indefinitely. It will no longer be sunset, which is unbelievably good news for a lot of the players out there who were worried that a lot of the things they're going to be grinding are one day going to be taken away from them arbitrarily when the timer on that gear runs out. This is incredible news. And Bungie goes on to state, while we still strongly believe that Destiny needs a method to shift our meta in the game's most challenging activities, we don't believe that infusion caps are the right answer. We're taking time this year to research and validate a plan that creates a fresh and balanceable ecosystem for our most aspirational content, one that doesn't make our rewards feel like they have an expiration date. We've learned a lot this year, and we don't want to rush finding the best plan, so don't expect to hear anything more about this until after the Witchqueen. And just like that, it's like a huge burden has been lifted off of the shoulders of the game itself. One of the biggest problems right now, is the feeling that a lot of the gear that you're grinding for is going to eventually be useless. And I'm glad, really happy to see that Bungie is addressing that head on. Incredible news, and it's only the beginning when it comes to this article. Because of course, we still have to talk about game balance, whether it's in PvE or PvP. And of course, how exactly you'll be gaining power in future seasons. In the next section titled Power Play, Bungie stated this: starting in Season 14, we will only be raising the power cap by 10 for each non-expansion season. This means if you reach the maximum power in Season 13, the current going season of the Chosen, when next season rolls around, you will be directly in the 10-point pinnacle band of the power pursuit. This power increase should feel familiar to anyone who played Season of Dawn last year, and we're excited to see how this progression feels alongside our new systems. We believe this change will make it even easier to pick up and enjoy Destiny each season, while still allowing us to have a deep RPG power pursuit when we launch the Witchqueen. So starting next season, it's not going to be the 50-point power boost that we've been seeing for the past couple of seasons. Instead, it's going to go from whatever is the current hard cap to 10 light above that. So if you reach the current hard cap, you are going to be in the perfect position to just start using your pinnacles and power grinding your way towards max light starting in Season 14. Great change if you were to ask me. The next section is titled Angels of Death, and this one has to do with PvP. In this section, Bungie makes a commitment to prioritizing improving gameplay sandbox balance in the Crucible and upgrading the experiences of their most aspirational game modes, i.e. Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris. And here's exactly how they're going to be doing that. First, in Season 15, they'll be addressing 3-peaking in Trials and Competitive. In these modes, emotes will be disabled and players will be unable to pull out any third-person weapon that doesn't already have ammo. Third-person experiences are a part of what make Destiny's gameplay feel so good, but it was clear in their most competitive arenas that these mechanics were being used in ways they did not intend. This is a tricky problem to solve in Destiny's complicated sandbox, but they think that disabling these things in PvP is a good starting point. Second, over the next several seasons, they will be making changes to Stasis and Light subclasses in order to achieve a healthier balance of subclasses in the Crucible. Across Season 13 and 14, we will be adjusting Stasis in the Crucible in order to bring its overall effectiveness in line with our Light subclasses. Here are some of the changes you can expect in the coming updates this season and next. And then, we get some pretty interesting sandbox changes with some nerfs that I'd say a lot of people have been calling for. First off, for Behemoth Titans, they're going to be decreasing the super damage reduction, increasing super energy cost when performing light attacks, and removing the freeze AoE whenever you cast your super. Finally, they're going to reduce traveling efficacy of the Shiver Strike when you're slowed down. Next up, Revenant Hunters, which have been everybody's favorite topic for a while. They're going to decrease Withering Blade damage and tracking, decrease slow stacks applied to targets, and remove Shatter Dive damage reduction. Finally, for Warlocks, we've got the Shadebinders, of course. Here, it's mostly buffs, thankfully, or rather fixes. They're going to fix a bug where Ice Flare bolts wouldn't track towards targets immediately on creation, and they're going to fix a bug where Shadebinder super projectiles were not tracking until a certain distance had been traveled. And beyond that, they've got a general change for Stasis. They're going to decrease the crystal shatter damage. And I do believe they mentioned that these changes are going to be primarily in the Crucible, so hopefully it's not going to nerf the way these Stasis-based subclasses work outside of the Crucible in PvE. They go on to state that for Season 15, they're also looking at universal adjustments to Stasis by increasing damage reduction when frozen to provide more survivability for the victim. Meaning when you're frozen, it's not going to be an instant death sentence in PvP anymore. Following this Stasis tuning, in Season 15, we will also focus on light subclasses and release a set of targeted buffs to our most underutilized specializations. The goal of all these changes is to keep Stasis feeling great in PvE and bring its representation in PvP more in line with their light-based abilities. And of course, these changes sound fantastic, but it doesn't really mean anything if nobody's playing PvP because every time you go in there, you're running up against cheaters. So Bungie has also committed to upping their game in terms of anti-cheat against some of the more egregious hacks going on in the game right now. They mentioned they're nearly doubling the size of their security team this year and that they're going to be using regular surveys to better understand experiences with cheating so that they can learn to measure their responses. Really good stuff to hear. But of course, if you're an in-game PvP player, you're probably more concerned with stuff like Trials of Osiris and the loot structure there than anything else. Well, don't you worry, we've got some news about that as well. as Bungie is going to be targeting an overhaul of the Trials of Osiris reward structure and matchmaking paradigms to release before the end of this year. With this update, they specifically want to target a few things. One, they want to improve the overall health of the Trials matchmaking pool, both by incentivizing a wider audience to engage and better defining separation of skill tiers. They also want to rebuild the Trials reward structure so that it encourages more players to stick to their active cards longer. Their current structure encourages a lot of recycling cards after a single loss, meaning the first games of your Trials card has a high chance of being incredibly challenging. We want to build a reward structure that continually pushes higher skill players to want to progress deeper into their card even after a loss, making 3 to 5 wins a more achievable goal for more players. And they want to investigate opportunities for solo players to participate in Trials regularly. This is interesting. We believe this will not only make the matchmaking pools healthier, but also will encourage more players to see what Trials is all about and hopefully form social connections with other PvP-loving Guardians. They cap this off by saying that after Trials, we will be targeting a similar in scope refresh to Iron Banner. Really happy to hear about that. While there's a lot to do when it comes to supporting the Crucible, we want to target our efforts around global PvP balance and our most aspirational modes first. Really happy to hear about some of those in-game changes to games like Trials of Osiris and incoming Iron Banner refreshes as well. But after that, things get really, really good. We learn more about the Vault of Glass experience, which is going to be coming to the game in Season 14. Next season, baby. It's almost here. And in this section, Bungie talks about a lot of things. There's, of course, going to be a contest mode in the first 24 hours and a world's first race for Vault of Glass, but it's going to be handled a little bit differently than previous world's first races. Because this is going to be a more familiar raid setting, Bungie's also curated a list of challenging triumphs that the world's first team is going to have to clear in order to actually win that title. So you're going to have to clear specific challenges in addition to just clearing the raid first in the world if you want to win the belt this time. But in my opinion, the far more interesting bit of news here is that Bungie has unveiled that they are looking to add a master version of the Vault of Glass. This is, of course, the system, the Master and Grandmaster difficulty system that we've seen be added to Nightfall strikes and, of course, Lost sectors, and has really had some great feedback from the community. I think a lot of people like that Bungie is delving into some of these harder difficulty activities with specific rewards tied to them, and we're going to be seeing that same system coming to the Vault of Glass. And while the Master version of VoG isn't going to be dropping in Season 14, they do say that they're looking to have it out before the end of the year, and that they'd like all of their future raid and dungeon content to offer master difficulty versions where players can earn ADEPT Raid and dungeon gear. Meaning that the ADEPT weapon system that I love to see here in Trials that I'm ready to get into when it comes to Grandmaster Nightfalls and whatnot is also going to be making its way into dungeons and even raids. Really happy about that. I love that system. It's just great incentive to continue playing content after your first completion. And you know, I can't wait to get my hands on an ADEPT Fatebringer. After that, we get to learn more about the incoming Transmog System. It's going to be ready in Season 14, with 801 from the Black Armory returning as kind of the Transmog vendor. She'll be offering a new service titled Armor Synthesis, where you'll be able to take any armor you have in your collection and turn it into a universal ornament. The article states that every season, Ada will offer players a set of bounties that highlight various activity types. Players can complete these quests and receive the materials they need to power up Ada's Loom, which can turn any piece of armor in your collection into a permanent universal ornament. Players who are short on time and don't want to go through those quests will also be able to purchase synthesis tokens for silver, meaning you can either play the game to get the tokens that you need to turn your armor sets into universal ornaments, or you can purchase it with silver. I'm perfectly fine with that. But once you've acquired some new universal ornaments, you'll be able to head to a new appearance screen in the character menu, where you can manage the ornaments on all of your gear in one place. You'll also find that you can apply shaders here individually or on all pieces of your equipped gear with one click. And to make it even easier to try out a bunch of new looks in Season 14, they've also changed shaders to be a permanent unlock, meaning you no longer will need to hold on to stacks of shaders in your inventory. So in one fell swoop, Bungie is getting rid of the headache of inventory space when it comes to shaders and also just making those things available once you've gotten it once. So happy to hear about that. Thank you, Bungie. Fantastic quality of life change there. They finish this off by saying that at the beginning of Season 14, they'll be including a starting supply of synthesis materials as rewards for completing the seasonal onboarding quest. And that they hope you all enjoy the way that they're going to be handling Transmog in the future, and give them their feedback on it as well. So already, we've covered some really incredible news in this article, but it's not over. The last section talks a lot about crossplay and how that's going to be implemented in the very near future. Crossplay is coming to the masses in Season 15. We'll be doing some internal rollouts and alpha tests in Season 14 to prepare for a widespread launch this fall. With crossplay, you'll be able to play with all of your friends no matter what platform you call home. And don't worry, we won't be matching console and PC players together in the Crucible unless PC players specifically invite their console friends to play with them in their PC Crucible pools. I wonder if it works the opposite way. If like a console player invites a PC player over, does that like just drag all the console players into the PC matchmaking or vice versa? I hope they clarify that moving forward. Next up, some of you have noticed that Ikora Rey has not been nearly as present recently in Destiny 2. We've missed her as well. Not only will you see Ikora again in Season 14, she will be playing a pivotal role in the Witchqueen. Which is, of course, excellent news. We've been complaining about the lack of Ikora Rey for really a long time. She hasn't had anything to do since she built the portal to the Undying Mind. So I'm glad to see that major character is going to actually have something to do moving forward. Next up, in Beyond Light, we introduce Stasis subclasses. Like Solar, Arc, and Void, Stasis will continue to evolve into a fully supported damage type. In Season 15, we will introduce our first round of legendary Stasis energy and power weapons. There will be a lot more info here as we get closer to the fall. And then, finally, more recently in Season 13, we rolled out Phase 1 of our new gilded title system, where players can gild out ritual titles like Conqueror, Unbroken, Dredgen, and Flawless each season. In Season 14, Phase 2 of gilding titles will roll out. When players gild a title, it will now also display how many times that title has been gilded in the past. And there we go. That's it for some of the biggest bits of news to drop from this article. The last thing we got to see from Mr. Blackburn was, of course, a sneak peek at an incoming armor set that might tentatively be titled the Nova Gear. It's an awesome sneak peek at what may wind up being the seasonal armor set when Witchqueen drops. And I think is the perfect capstone sneak peek to end this incredible article that is just chock full of amazing information that may have just completely revitalized the future of this franchise. Really incredible stuff in here. I will say it's not lost on me that we've really kind of gone full circle with the whole sunsetting thing where they reintroduce it and then get rid of it, just like they had to do in Destiny 1 with the introduction of it in the Taken King, and then its ultimate removal with a lot of the returning old gear in Age of Triumph. And I'm happy to see that we're back at the end of that cycle. Hopefully this is the last time we have to deal with that. But there is really incredible information in this article, even some stuff that we didn't cover here in today's video. So if you want to go and read the thing in its entirety, I'll have a link to it down in the description box below. But those are the biggest bits of news, and those are my thoughts. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. But I'm out for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.